So good morning, everyone. I am Catherine, the facilitator for today. Today we're doing a business development webinar. I entitled it 7 days because we're talking about how do we take a 7-day time period and execute on our business goals, execute on the things that we want to see come to pass from our business model. So everything that we're going to be discussing on today is very action oriented, and you'll see as we go through the presentation. One of the things that I did send out prior to this session on today was an ebook copy of my book that I recently released called 7 Days. So today, to set the tone before we go into the meat and potatoes of how do we construct our 7 days and how do we implement our goals, I just wanted to do a quick review of that ebook. So 7 days, how to manifest your dream. It was broken down into 7 days. Day 1 is talking about detox. Day 2 is talking about creating new habits. Day 3 is talking about discovering your why. Day 4 is talking about the 12th round. And day 5 is give your day an assignment. And day 6 is dawning of a new day. And then, of course, my favorite, number 7, is execute. And so when we talk about detox, the detox process requires all of us, you and I, to release anything that could be holding you back, anything that could be blurring your vision from having clarity and focus on how you are to execute on your mission. So I want to set the tone today as we do this webinar. And I want everyone to put in their mindset, what things do we need to eliminate? What things do we need to detox from our circle and our space that is preventing us from moving forward with our business? And sometimes we have to do an evaluation as a business owner and as a leader. Why? Because we must declutter our mind. Sometimes when we're trying to engage in a business project, often, individuals may say to me, I had hiccups along the way. I had hurdles along the way. I'm not really sure why my business isn't taking off. I'm not really sure why my project isn't taking off. The first thing I always say, you need to declutter. And a lot of times that starts first with our mindset. So before we, like I said, get into the other components of business plan development, we're going to talk about financial projections and all of that great fundamental stuff, but we have to set the tone about our mindset. The thing is, it says, what have you been putting off for years that you need to get done? A lot of times when I talk to entrepreneurs, business professionals, leaders, there's always something that we may have put on the back burner and said, you know what, I haven't fully engaged, I haven't fully executed on this project yet. And so what I'm trying to do today is set our mindset to look in a perspective of how can we execute on our goals? What do we need to do to execute on our goals? The other thing, it talks about what is that unique idea that you've been sitting around with and it has not been fully executed yet. It's time to evolve. It's time to expand in that particular area. And that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about on today. So today is going to be a very interactive webinar coaching session. Why? Because we need to uncover what our why is. And we have to do ultimately what we need to execute. Execute on what those things that we predicted from the very beginning when we said we were going to start our business model. It's all about execution. This is one of my other biggies when I'm doing one-on-one coaching or when I'm doing group coaching. It talks about giving your day an assignment. I want everyone to reflect right now, and I want you to think about your past 7 days. What did your past 7 days look like? Was it effective? Did you have any challenges? And ultimately, what action steps did you meet? Did you check anything off your list to say, I was able to accomplish this, or I did not accomplish that? I want you to put that in your head, because a lot of times I've been a part of webinars and I want this to be interactive, and I wanted the conclusion of this webinar for us all to have clarity on what you need to do over the next 7 months. In the ebook that I emailed to everyone, it talked about your 7-month action step. Now, we're well into 2020, and 2021, honestly, is right around the corner. I want everyone to think about over the next 7 months, what do you need to accomplish? What do you need to obtain? This 7-month action step really is going to thrust you into 2021. And this is why I determined and I wanted to coach from this 7-day, 7-month perspective, because if you are able to nail down what are you doing over the 7-day period and able to execute on your goals, ultimately your 7-month action step, which will lead you into 2020, you're going to see the financial fruits that you're looking for, and you're going to see your goals being accomplished. This next question says, what terms and conditions can you agree with for your dream to manifest? In my ebook that I sent to everyone, there was a question in there, and it posed, I'm gonna say it again. It says, what terms and conditions can you agree with yourself? A lot of times we don't manifest our goals and dreams because we're not making an agreement with ourselves and we're not executing on it. I had a conversation with someone and they were like, well, I don't really see my dreams. I don't see my business kicking off. And we had to keep digging in that one-to-one conversation. And ultimately what was said from that individual is that sometimes I kind of want to do the business. Sometimes I kind of don't. I'm kind of iffy what I want to do. And when I indicated to the person, then that is the root issue why the business isn't taking off. We have to be very clear within our own mindset with what we're proposing to do and make an agreement with ourselves. We're all entrepreneurs. Everybody watching this webinar right now, you've signed a contract before with someone else and they signed a contract with you. And in that contract, there were terms and there were conditions. My question to everyone, what kind of terms and conditions have you given yourself for your dream to manifest? And these are some of the things that we have to dissect and think about. When you have a group discussion with your team, this is something I want everyone to do, is have a team meeting out. When we conclude this webinar, it doesn't have to be today, but at some point in time over the next 7 days, I want you to have a group discussion with your team. Now, one may say, I don't have a team. Then that means we need to cultivate a team. That means I want you to identify 1 to 3 individuals this week that you would like to either A, collaborate with, or B, partner with. And if you already have an existing team and you have not had a meeting with them in a long time, this is the perfect time that you want to cultivate that team environment and build. So I want everyone to put in your notes, discussion. When you write that down, the thing that you want to think about, who do I need to have in my circle? Who do I need to have in my space? The reason why that's super important is this next slide. It talks about creating the timeline for execution. What are your 90-day goals? What are your 12-month goals? And what are your 3-year goals? If we have not identified these separate components, that is a hindrance for the forward movement of our business. So let's first talk about the 90-day goals. Now we know June is about to be done in a couple of weeks, and we'll be thrusting quickly into July. So what I want everyone to do is think about, what do you want your 3rd quarter to look like? That kicks off July 1. So when we look at the calendar, we have about a couple of weeks left of June. I want you to write down, if you're taking notes, if you're in position. If you're not in position to do that right now, it's okay. You can do it later because I'm going to send everyone the recording so you can always go back and listen to it. But if you're in position to take down notes, I want you to write down, what things do you need to execute over these next 2 weeks to set yourself up for success for July 1. What you do over the next 90 days in that 3rd quarter is going to have a prediction of what your 2021 is going to look like. Here's why I say this. When I've been following the news, and I'm sure we all have, they're saying it might be a second wave of COVID-19. Now, if that happens, how will that play a factor in all of our businesses? We each have different business models. How will that play a factor? So we have my point is we have a small window of time, which is 3rd quarter. Here's why I say that. As I've been monitoring the news, I see a lot of things, and restrictions are being lifted. Some things are being opened up. So we got this 90-day period to hit it hard before, if they predict, and if it turns out to be a reality, the COVID-19 reoccurrence hit again. So we can't wait. If it does happen, if it doesn't happen, we have to capitalize on this 90-day window to do what? To build new partnerships. If you're a nonprofit organization, to lock in and secure some sponsorships. A common question that's come to me is, well, is it even possible to get sponsors during this time of COVID-19? It absolutely is. This is what I say and recommend for you to do. Identify your target audience, and then identify your target audience and match it with business owners that want to tap into your target audience. So a little bit of research goes into play with that. When I send out my 7-day coaching, as for those that came in a little bit later, I mentioned starting on Monday, everybody that participated with this webinar will get 7 days of coaching from me. And so that starts on Monday. Everyone's going to get a private video link, and you'll be able to listen to that 15-minute coaching starting on Monday all the way through the following Sunday. So one of those things I'm going to be directing everyone's attention to is how to lock in and secure sponsors, as well as how to drive traffic to your business, particularly if it is for profit as well. So let's go back to the fundamentals. I want you to put in your mind what you need to do the next 2 weeks. Now I want you to think about July 1st. I want you to think about how do you need to kick off your July 1st, and in what method will you kick off July 1st? I want to throw out some suggestions. I highly recommend everyone within this next 2 weeks create a 1-minute promo video for your business. You do not have to retain a videographer for this. You don't have to do that. If you have a tablet, you have a cell phone, everybody got video attached to their devices. What I would encourage you to do is to create a 1-minute video, you as the founder, you as the CEO of your business model, and speak very passionately about the direction of the third quarter and what is to be expected from your business. A lot of times we don't grow with our business because we don't ever put it out to our target audience. So therefore they don't even know what the goals are. They don't know if you're trying to get new customers, if you're a for-profit business, put it out there. Let people know you are open for business. You know why I say that? Because sometimes right now, because of COVID-19 and everything that's going on with the pandemic, and it's just a lot going on in our community, some people have mentally checked out of business. So some people may not even know you're in operation mode. Let people know you're in operation mode. Again, you have a window of opportunity this 90 days, because I tell you what's going to happen on the other side. If COVID-19 reoccur, there are going to be a lot of other businesses that's going to say, oh man, we're in a bad situation again. But if you prepare before that happens, none of us have to be in that situation. Then what are your 12-month goals? Okay, so now when we think about 12 months, we're in June right now. Where does your business need to be next June 2021? I want you to write that down. Where do you want to see your business next summer 2021? And when I say where do you want to see it, I'm going to give you specifics. What type of financial income do you want to see? Whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit, how much revolving income do you want to see coming into your business on a monthly basis? Because a nonprofit is a business. It's just a different structure and how you have to operate at different rules and regulations on the state and federal level. At the end of the day, it's a business. So what type of income does your business need to bring in 1 year from now? And I tell you, based on your goal, what you're writing down on your paper, or maybe you're putting it in your cell phone and taking notes that way, and that's totally fine. What you do this next 90 days is going to indicate the type of money you're going to be making next June. Then what are your 3-year goals? Everything is duplicatable. What I want our mindsets to shift and start thinking about is how you duplicate your 90 days to your 12 months, and you duplicate that to your 3-year goals. It's all about duplication. So looking at your 90-day goals, writing that down even as we speak. What are your 90-day goals? Third quarter, July, August, and September. What do you want to accomplish? Even write down how many customers you need. Be very, very specific, because if you're not very specific, it can become challenging to hit your goals. So I even want you to write down how many customers do you want to have. And when I say customers for a nonprofit, think about those that you're going to be serving, as well as how many sponsors do you want to lock in this third quarter. If you are a for-profit business, from your clientele base, how many customers do you want to lock in? Individuals that's going to be partaking of your services that you're offering. Be very specific. Write a number down. Now, with that number that you wrote down, you can make a projected financial report on what you want to see 12 months down the road. Then what I want you to do with that number of what you want to make next June, I want you to times that by 3, because that's going to give you your 3-year financial projection. Everything should be duplicatable. This next slide, creating the timeline for execution. These are some tools that I wanted to share with everyone, because at the end of the day, when we're talking about your 90-day goal for this third quarter that's coming up, Monday.com, Quicken.com, and LivePlan.com are sites that I've used, as well as are very effective for business development. So again, Monday.com, Quicken.com, and LivePlan.com. So I highly encourage everyone to go to these websites. Again, you're going to also get this particular slideshow, but I encourage you to utilize these tools, because over the next 90 days, let me talk about the Live Plan real quick. The effectiveness, how I think it benefits a business owner, is that you're able to project out your 12-week planning strategy, and it can help you stay on track as far as deadline dates goes, as well as what do you need to accomplish week to week. Now, Quicken, what is the purpose of why I suggest Quicken? Quicken is a good software, online software, where you can track your finances. On a previous one, those that may have participated on one of my Tuesday night sessions, I talked highly about QuickBooks, but Quicken is another one, and it's not as costly as QuickBooks. This is another tool that you can use to track your finances, what's coming in and what's going out. Monday.com is also a good tool. The purpose of that online software, it is parallel to another strategy software. So you can choose, look at Monday.com and look at LivePlan.com, and between those two, see which one works best for you. As far as tracking your finances, Quicken.com is also a good one to use as well. Now, I always tell people, some people may say, well, I've been using Excel spreadsheet up to this point, and that's totally fine. You can take Excel spreadsheet, because a lot of times you can take that document and you can upload it into a lot of these transferable online software platforms, such as Quicken, if it's a financial spreadsheet that you do have in Excel. All right. So one of the other things that I want everyone to think about over this 90-day period is looking at your financial structure. And that's one of the slides that's going to be coming up momentarily, where we're going to break down and look at how do you create your financial portfolio. One of the things that I want you to have in your group meeting, when you have your group meeting this week, as far as a discussion, I want you to have a conversation with them about what tasks does everyone need to be assigned to. I was having a conversation, and I often tell individuals, if you don't give someone a task or an assignment, sometimes they don't know what it is you're thinking or what it is you want. So when you have your group meeting this week, the discussion that you also need to have with them is being task oriented. In other words, what is each person in your organization going to do over the next 90 days? What task will they be committed to? What task can they agree to? So when you're having this group meeting, I know sometimes people say, well, if I bring everyone together, what do I need to talk about? As I'm going through this presentation, every time we come to this discussion slide, I'm giving you tips and tools on what you need to have, what type of conversation you need to have with your team. And again, if you're saying, hey, I'm still fresh, I don't even have a team, these are topics that you can implement once you start to develop your team. So over the next 90 days, starting July 1st, what will your team complexity look like? And I'm not talking about culture right now. I'm talking about who's going to be on your team, who's going to be on the A team, just like football or basketball, whatever. There's always different people playing different positions. It's the same thing in your business model. I want you to think right now, who is playing what position in your business model? Then I want you to think about who's been around but not really executing on anything. They're just kind of hanging loose. They're just kind of hanging around, but not really producing, not really bringing anything to the table. That's called dead weight. And a lot of times we have too much dead weight in our business. If we have dead weight in our business, what does that? What happens? It slows our productivity down. And some may say, well, it's just that one person not really doing anything. I'm gonna kind of just let them be. Energy transfers. If there's a team and there's one person that's just kind of hanging loose, not really doing anything, and the other team members that are aggressive and are engaged, like, well, why is so-and-so not doing anything? And it's not being checked. I'm telling you, it is going to have a ripple effect throughout the whole organization. And so I encourage you to start taking an assessment over these next 2 weeks, who is on your team. And again, if you're in the very beginning phases and don't have a team, this is perfect for you, because now you're starting fresh. Now you're getting the tips and tools on how to build a team. Some may say, well, I have a team, but you know what? I think I may have to overhaul my team. I may have to start fresh with my team. And that's okay. Whatever position you may be in, but the important thing is you got to go into July 1st with a team. Now, I don't mean that you have to have 10, 12, 15 people, but a team, we know, got to be more than one person. So even if you identify maybe one or two other individuals that you can collaborate with, or if you have a nonprofit that's going to be on your board, you need to take an assessment of your board. And these are the discussions that you have to have when you bring your team together. Business plan development. This is super important when we're building a business model. What are your business objectives for the next 3 years? This slide piggybacks on the previous slide. Be as specific as possible and make sure you address the following things. How many number of customers? I want to echo on that again, because a lot of times we don't get the goals, hit our goals, and see the finances that we're looking for, because we never actually say, I need X amount of customers at the end of this 30-day cycle, at the end of this quarter, right? So if you haven't written it down yet, I want you to write down, or if you need to put it in your phone in that note section somewhere, how many customers do you want to have in the third quarter? Is it 10, 15, 20? You know your financial role in terms of what you need to see. Revenue, your customers, it connects to the revenue that you see. A lot of times what I'm seeing right now with businesses, particularly whether they're growing, they have challenges because they're not seeing the revenue that they need to see. Now, what do you do when the revenue comes in? In a couple of slides moving forward, I'm breaking down what a line item is and how do you even construct your budget. Because a lot of times when the money is coming in with the business, particularly sometimes with startup or growing businesses, sometimes the money is not appropriated appropriately, so that way you don't see long-term growth with your business because we're just spending money as quickly as it's coming into our business. So there's ways in which we need to dissect the revenue and put it into different line items, and we're going to talk about that. Then profit. You have your number of customers that's coming in, you have your revenue, but then what's the profit? Because we know that there's expenses on any business model, and then what's the market share? So what is the number of customers you want to see in the third quarter? What type of revenue will be generated because you have these customers? What is the profit that you're going to make? And what is the market share? Now, when we talk about market share, that's talking about the industry that you're in. So everyone a part of this webinar is in various industries, but I want you to put in your mindset right now the industry you're in. Now I want you to think about the geographical region that you live in and think about how many other business models are similar to your business model. And then that's where research comes into play to say, okay, how much market share, how much market penetration do I have in my industry in comparison to the other business models that do similar work that I do? That's market share. Now, in order to see the revenue and the profit that you're looking for, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit organization, you have to understand what the market share is. You have to understand who else is in your industry. You have to understand from a geographical perspective. Let me just give an example. So look, like Maryland, DC, Virginia, that's a tri-state area, Maryland, DC, Virginia. In that tri-state area, how many other companies doing similar work as you do? And then when you look at that assessment and do that research, I encourage everybody to take some downtime this weekend after this webinar and research similar businesses in your market. And then when you research those businesses that's in your market, I encourage you go to their go to their website, see how they are faring. What are some of their marketing tactics? What are some of their marketing tools? Because in order to be competitive in your industry, you have to know who else is in your industry. This next tab says, what is the market opportunity? What is the market size? And be sure to look at the market size with respect to geography and to the industry, right? What is the market opportunity? This is a good question because a lot of times when we hear businesses, I've been watching a lot on the news as businesses have been very disgruntled because they feel as though that they're not placed properly in their market. When you talk about market, that's the industry. That's the industry that your business is in. And you're being competitive with other business owners that's in your industry, right? What is the market size in respect to your geography? Again, different people on this platform today are in different places. So I want you to think about where you reside and think about the businesses that's in your area. How can the market be segmented into logical customer groupings? What does that mean? The reason why I put this even picture right here where you see these little thumbtacks, because when you think about your business model, I want you to think about your target audience, because every person that you target for your business model, there has to be groupings. In other words, let me give you an example. So let's say if someone is in, let me just talk about the medical industry. The healthcare industry. There are many types of doctors in the medical industry. Just because someone says they're a doctor of what? Same thing with the service you're providing. You're providing XYZ services, but with those XYZ services, who does your services specifically connect to? And do you have a variety of target audiences, right? Who do you serve? And what is your message that you're going to be sending and signaling to your target audience? How do you need to break down your customer groupings? Do you know that you have different customer groupings? And if so, how are you specifically marketing to them? Let me give another example. I have some nonprofit clients, they work with the youth. Well, that's a broad term. I work with the youth. Wonderful. What age category do you work with the youth, right? You have to break it down into the common denominator. Some may say, Well, I work with the elderly population. That's wonderful. What do you specifically do with the elderly population? In other words, whatever your business model is, you need to break it out. I always suggest 2 to 3 categories so that when you're presenting your business model, you're able to say, listen, this is the overarching umbrella of who I'm serving. And under that, these are 2 to 3 different type of services that I'm offering based on my target audience. So break it down into the common denominator. When we're talking about establishing the foundation, what is the economic climate now and in the next couple of years? And I think this is right on time with this type of question that we have to ask ourselves as building our business model. What is the economic climate? One of the things that I encourage everyone to do, and I'm not saying that you have to get into stocks or buy stocks, but we do need to watch and monitor what's going on in the stock market. Because what's going on right now with our businesses and in the business community is directly indicative of what's going on in the stock market. I know I saw something the other day, because I on my cell phone, I just get news alerts, certain news outlets I have to just send alerts to my phone so I can stay abreast. And it was saying that the stock market, it took a dive because of new COVID cases has risen, right? Now, when that happens, how does that affect different markets, different business industries? And some may say, oh, well, I'm not even doing anything with stocks, so it doesn't affect me. It does. And so what I encourage everyone to do based on the industry that you're in, research stocks based on your industry. Research that. And how is it going to affect in the next couple of years? There's actually data and documentation that's out there right now that has predictions on different industries on how that particular industry will grow. Let me give you an example. I have a client and he's in the Maryland area. It's a for-profit client. And his business model is all around smart homes, working with startup businesses and or growing businesses, business owners that work from their home. But because of this pandemic, a lot of people wasn't even prepared. They don't have their business office even set up. They don't have the tools, the technology, none of that. When I helped him do his business plan, and we looked at the projected numbers, that is a booming industry right now. Helping business owners to create smart homes, that is something that is going with the wave of what our current economy is. So I want you to think about with what you do, whether if it's for-profit or nonprofit, look at what's going on in the stock market. Look at what's going on in your industry as far as the projected numbers down the road. And how will the economic climate affect your business? How will it affect your business? Some may say, I'm just in my own little world. I'm just in my bubble. And you know, I'm doing okay. But the goal from this webinar is to help everyone climb their business to the next level when we're talking about building a financial stable outlook for your business model. Now, another question that I want you to put down and just ponder to yourself. When I ask the question, how much money or revenue do you want to come in the third quarter and then even in the next 12 months? Where do you want to see it next June with revenue? The question is, how far do you want to expand your business? Is our business or market affected by cycles and seasons? Right now, the answer would be yes. And that's across the board. But then that leads to another question. How do I proof my business so that my business does not take a nosedive depending on what's going on in the marketplace right now? And then it's connecting your business model with some type of technology aspect to it that will keep your business relevant. When we're talking about establishing the foundation of a business, at the end of the day, is your business relevant? Is your business on the mouths of your target audience? Are people speaking of your business? Do people even know about your business? One of the things that's so important when we're talking about building the business foundation, this is the next question. It says, what kind of audience are we targeting? A lot of times businesses don't grow because we don't really know who our target audience is. We cast our net wide and say, hey, I just do it all. I know many people have heard, I've heard many people even tell me that. I'm very specific. I don't do it all. I'm not a master of everything. I'm very specific. Strategic planning, organizational development, that is my niche area. You have to identify what is your niche area. And based on that niche area, you grow. Now, I'm not saying we don't have multiple talents and things. I have other things that I do well at. But I had to look and say, what is my dominant areas that I need to completely focus on and build at? So what I want you to do when you think about your foundation of your business, I want you to think about what areas of your business model can you dominate in your industry? What areas can you dominate in? Then I want you to look at, and I want you to think about areas that is just kind of busy work. It's not really leading to anything productive. We just keeping ourselves busy. Because at the end of the day, what I want us to do when we look at the next 7 days out from this webinar is to construct a plan that leads to productivity. Target audience and building a business builder. What is your customer's primary reason for buying or wanting your product or service? What is that thing that's going to make them say yes to you? What is that thing that's going to make them say yes to your business model? What is that thing that sponsor is going to say, you know what, I read their sponsor packet. I went on their social media accounts. I've been to their website. I've seen some videos about their program. You know what, I'm going to cut a check to this organization because I see they're really about their business. You know what, I see this for-profit business and this is a service and or product that I need. I see their continuity. I see that they're consistent. Their message hasn't changed. I'm going to do business with this person. So what is the primary reason why someone will say yes to you? At the end of the day, value must be displayed. No one's going to do business if they don't see the value in the product and or service. And why would someone prefer your offering, our offering, versus that of the competitor? Again, this goes back to research. After this webinar, you have to do some research in your geographical region and in your industry that your business is thriving in, and find out who the competitors are. A lot of times we say, well, we're unique. There's no one like me. There's someone in your industry that's doing something similar to what you do. And we have to identify that and find out who they are and see what's going to set you apart from the rest, right? And then which companies pose the greatest threat and how do they differ? How do they differ, right? And when we talk about threat, I'm not talking about in a sense of how they can take your business down or anything like that. I'm talking about what can pose a threat that can decrease your customers, new customers, that can decrease your revenue, that can decrease your short-term goals, that's that 90-day period, and that can decrease your goals, which is your 12-month goals down the road, next June 2021. I tell you this, when we talk about target audience and building a business, being a business builder, the reason why I put that term there, because being a business builder means we have to build from the bottom up. And ultimately, if we see ourselves come next June 2021, and we're still saying, I haven't got any new customers, I don't have any new sponsors for my nonprofit organization, we're still in the same place, then we're not a business builder. Building a business, I want us to think about a house for a second. And we all have been in neighborhoods where we see a house just freshly starting to be built up from the bottom. And we see that layer, that foundation to the house that's put down. And then every time we pass that development or whatever, we see new stuff going up, the walls and the roof and all that. It's the same thing when it comes to building a business. If there's not ongoing, consistent activity, not just busy work, but constructive work that's building the business, then our house will not be built. The business house will not be built. So we have to put in our mindset when we leave this webinar today, after all this information is being given, are we a business builder? That is the philosophy. That is the mindset that we need to walk away. And I say we, because I'm included. It doesn't matter that I'm doing this webinar. I got to keep pushing the envelope even with myself and even with my business. Every day we got to give ourselves a new challenge to build our business and to build it strong. Now, discussion. When you have your team meeting, I want you to talk to your team and ask them, are you a business builder? Because if they're going to be on your team, you need to know who you got. You need to know if they have the same mindset. You need to know, why are they even there? Sometimes people just hanging around because they're just hanging around. It's just something to do. We're in a season that we cannot just have too much dead time or too many people in our spaces just hanging around. And again, I'm not trying to be abrasive. We all have our different times, your personal time with your downtime with your family, friends, and that's wonderful. But I'm talking about business right now. When we talk about building a business, ask your team, are you a business builder? And then dialogue with them about that. Well, listen, I was a part of this webinar. We talked about a business builder and what those requirements are and what that really means. We're now in June. We're a couple of weeks away from July. And you know what? We need to have a real conversation. June 2021, are we going to still be in the same place with our business? Now, fast forward to fourth quarter of this year. If the second wave of COVID hit, Are we going to be among that group of small businesses that's upset and disgruntled because we did not prepare ourselves in the third quarter? Or are we going to prepare ourselves this third quarter and get our affairs in order, so even if COVID does resurge in the fourth quarter, we're still producing business? That's the kind of conversation you need to have with your team. The next piece that we want to talk about is financial projections. Now, this is a very, I think, this is the heartbeat of any business, is financial projections. When you're creating a financial projection, you need to create line items. And on my next slide, it's going to give you a visual picture of that. Line items are areas in which in your business, it could be expenses, it's going to be income coming in. Where is your income coming from? So when we talked a few minutes ago about customer groupings, that's how you also dictate where your money is coming from, because you need to have different lines of, you need to have different line items indicating where your money's coming from. Let me give you an example. So if you have a business model, and let's say it could be even a consulting business, right? You may have one-on-one clients, you may have group clients, you may have retainer clients. Those are different line items. Each of those line items produce a certain dollar amount. Let me take it a step further. Let's say you may be contracted with the school system, right? Now, with that school system, you may have different schools that you go and you facilitate whatever your curriculum says it's going to facilitate. So XYZ school, you know, you're getting XYZ money from that school. Okay, school B, you're getting this amount of money. School B, you're getting that amount of money. Let's say you might be a service-based industry where you might be in the financial services. You may be offering credit services or financial literacy services, right? You can do group coaching with those financial services. You may have your one-on-one clients, or you may have coaching and training documents and curriculums that you market and sell, where people do self-study. So when we talk about creating line items, what are those line items that's generating money, right? That's bringing money into your business. And then you got to look at what are your expenses that's going out. This next one talks about review your spending habits. And the imagery that I put right there, it's a chart that you can see, and it's a pen, and you see like little wavy lines. I wanted us to visualize for a second, what are our spending habits for our business and for our personal? I like to say trim back the fat. Sometimes people say, well, I don't have enough money to start a business. I don't have enough money to grow my business. We all have areas in our business or personal life that we can cut some things out. And so I want us to do an assessment this weekend. After this webinar has ended, I want you to assess your personal spending habit and assess your business spending habits. Now, one of the things when we're talking about reviewing your spending habits, you're going to create two columns, one for your personal and one for your business. And I want you to see how it's measuring up. I want you to see what's going out, and I want you to see what's coming in. Because a lot of times when we talk about generating wealth and passing it on to the next generation, those sound like good terms. I believe in that. But how realistic is it if we don't even know what our spending habits are? We can't pass anything on to anybody or the next generation if we have nothing to pass on. Sometimes we're passing on habits, financial habits to the next generation, and we're not teaching them how to have good spending habits, right? And true story, me, growing up, there was a lot going on. I wasn't taught a lot of financial principles. I want to put that disclaimer out there. I've learned things along the way, but there's an old saying, I think we all have heard it: when you learn to do better, you do better. So I'm saying, and I'm speaking in this way because we cannot continue to put ourselves in a posture where, because I didn't know something, I got to just stay in this state of destitute. We don't have to live in that place. What we need to do is identify where we are. I know personally with myself, I'm looking at areas that I'm just cutting back because I know where I want my business to be 1 year down the road. 1 year down the road, I have a particular financial goal in mind. I have a particular expansion in terms of how many states I want my business in. I want you to think about that too. Don't limit yourself. You don't have to just have your business in one state. You don't even just have to have your business just here in the United States. It can be in other countries. So depending on how far you want your business to go, I'm telling you, it's going to all be predicated upon these next 2 weeks, finishing out June, to set yourself up for success for July 1st. What we do over these next 7 days, once this webinar is done and all this information is given, the ball is going to be in your court. And then for the next 7 days, again, starting on Monday, I'm going to be sending out 15-minute coaching sessions. There will be a private YouTube page that anyone that participated in this webinar is going to receive. That's going to help continue the education outside of today. Everyone also is going to get a 7-day strategic planning guide that's going to help you over the next 7 days. So on Monday, when you get that first coaching YouTube clip, you're also going to get an email with the strategic 7-day planning guide. The next thing here, budget for semi-annual expenses. What do I mean by that? Sometimes there's those people say, well, you know, just something just popped up. Things don't just pop up. We have to be very mindful of every journey of our business and personal life. So one of the things that I do, I look at things from a quarterly perspective and semi-annual. There may be expenses that you have that is not net 30. It's not every 30 days. It may be every 6 months, or it could be a quarterly expense. So when you're doing your budget and your line item, I want you to create different columns. You're going to create your net 30 expenses that's every 30 days for your personal and your business. And then what I want you to look at, maybe what are your quarterly expenses? It's not every month, but it's every quarter. And maybe it's not every quarter, maybe it's every 6 months. Let me give you an example. Business insurance. Everyone should have business insurance. When you have business insurance, you can set it up a couple of different ways. You can break that down into monthly payments, quarterly payments, or every 6 months. So that's an example of what I mean in terms of expenses. Some things may not be net 30, but you still need to have it on your itemized line item. So that way you can understand. This next slide kind of talks about where I'm coming from when it comes to line items. This is an example that I created and it's for financial projections. So there's just 4 line items. There could be way more, but I just want to use this for today's example. So line items, tech. What do I mean with the tech? Phone/net, internet. But if you're creating a smart home, it could be other things that go into play within your business that you're carrying out in your home office, okay? But tech, what type of things that will go into that, again, can be predicated upon how advanced you want your home office to be. But for basics, you know you're going to need the phone, you know you're going to need the internet. Number 2, some people may want to take their business outside of their home office. So maybe you may be at a brick and mortar office. Now, the good thing about where we are right now, you can get virtual office space. You don't have to just have a brick and mortar office, but if you want to have a different address apart from your home, you can do that. Now, one of the things that I think is important, you can even have virtual office space where you can actually have a certain amount of time where you use that office space. So office is a line item that I put on here. Number 3 is supplies. What type of supplies do you need for your business model? Now, every company, depending on your industry, is going to vary. But what type of supplies do you need? Is it net 30? Is it every quarter? Or do you just need to get your supplies every 6 months? Number 4, payroll. Now, in the very beginning phases, majority everyone's going to be 1099, right? 1099, contractor. Now, here's the thing. When a business is growing, I always say 1099 is the best way to go. You do not want to get into a lot of W-2 payroll taxes, particularly if you're still in your growth phase of your company. If you have stationary money, whether it be from a grant or maybe you did get a line of credit or a business loan from your bank, and you know you already have maybe 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 earmarked specifically for payroll, then yes, you may want to consider W-2. But if that is not your situation, payroll 1099 is the best way to track or pay out subcontractors that might be working with your business, even with yourself, to pay yourself, because you can do a draw from your business account, and when I say business account, your business bank account. You as an individual can do a bank draw out of your business bank account, so that way you can pay yourself as well, is a 1099. Now you see this chart that I created here. It's year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. And so what I did was I showed everyone through this diagram in terms of the supplies, how much is going to be needed with this diagram. I encourage everybody, you can do this on your computer, Microsoft Word. Actually, I did this through PowerPoint. You can create your own diagram. Visuals are a good thing because a lot of times if we're not keeping in tune with what's going on with our money, right? Sometimes the money will get away from us. And at the end of the quarter, we'll say, well, I didn't really make a profit. Money came in, but I don't even have a profit. I don't even have $1,000 left in my business bank account at the end of a quarter, right? So we have to look at, where is our money going? Where's our money going? I'm very passionate about this because, again, a lot of times businesses, particularly whether it's grassroots or startup, get very disgruntled. But sometimes we have to look at ourselves. How are we spending our money, and where is the money going? And how do we need to save the money so at the end of the quarter, we still have something left in our business bank account? Right here, how to drive traffic to your business to increase revenue. This is the next talking point. Consistent daily business activity. What is the difference between business work and productive work, right? So sometimes we are just busy doing, things that may look good, but it's not really leading to anything productive. It's not leading us to getting any new clients. It's not leading us to locking any new sponsors. We're just busy. Set up a calendar that's going to project out when your new clients are coming. Let me give you an example. When I have a potential client, I have a calendar. Someone may say, hey, I'm not ready to start yet with you. That's okay. What month do you think you're going to be ready? Because if you don't even know what month they're going to be ready, you can't even do any proper follow-up or follow-through. Let's say you might be working on government contracts or different things, or contracts with other businesses that want to bring you on as a subcontractor. And they may say, well, this isn't a good quarter, but you know what? Fourth quarter, that's when I want to do business with you. Between that time and when they actually bring you on, or let's say it's a sponsor that say, I want to sponsor your organization, but this is the month of every year that we cut checks to nonprofits. That need to be on a calendar. But a lot of times we miss our opportunity because we never plugged and play. I call it plug and play. Put it on a calendar so you know when to follow up with a person. And 30 days out before that person say, hey, this is when we're going to be ready, you now know how to follow up. You can send a follow-up email. It don't even have to be anything about the business transaction. It could just be, hey, I'm just touching base, seeing how you're doing. I know a lot's going on in the society, in the world right now. Hope you're doing well and be blessed. Something so simple. A lot of times we don't build traffic to our business because we're not having enough conversations. We only want to go for the close. If they don't got the money right then and there, they don't got the money to cut the check. We ain't even talking to them no more because that's not how we build a funnel. In terms of how to drive traffic to the business and how to drive and increase our revenue, we have to have a funnel. Now, this diagram that you see is of 5 different things: visibility, engagement, follow-up, streams of income, and the slight edge. We're going to start first talking about the slight edge. The slight edge, it talks about what sets you apart from the rest, what makes you different from your competitors in your industry, what makes you different, and what's going to stand you apart in your geographical region. What is that thing? Because that's going to be the draw that brings in the wave of customers. That's going to be the draw that brings in the wave of people that want to sponsor your program. If there is no difference, people want to see your stuff. They may even like it. I want to talk about that for a second. Just because we get likes on social media, that does not always translate to business. Okay, we got to understand how we're positioning ourselves in our marketplace and in certain arenas that can actually set us apart to get us to our target audience that will want to do business with us. We cannot just get stuck in the social media has its place. I market on social media all the time, but I also understand just because I get a like, that doesn't mean that's going to turn into business. I got to do the follow up and follow through. That's those tangible things that actually leads to a closed deal, that actually leads to a sponsor, that actually leads to a new customer. Then streams of income. Remember on the previous slides, I talked about line items. I talked about customer groupings. Once you have the slight edge, that's going to bring in your initial draw. That's your initial people. And that doesn't mean all of them are going to do business with you, but allow you at least have a pool of people that you can communicate with, a pool of people that you can talk to. Now, in the midst of that slight edge, who should else you be talking to? I'm telling you, since we had this whole quarantine situation, I've been on so many Zooms, just introducing myself and my business. Not even saying that person may want to do business right then and there. I've had several people that said, you know what, I don't need your services, but I know 3 or 4 of the people that do. How many conversations are we having? That's the slight edge. And what everyone has said to me, because you took the time to have a personal conversation with me, I now see you beyond just social media. How many personal conversations are we having, or are we just relying only on social media? Are we just relying only on email? Now, I believe in email. You got to send a follow-up email, but it has to be that personal connection that's going to be the slight edge. Now, from that slight edge, that tier, it moves up to streams of income. Now, with your streams of income, you have different individuals that's in your marketplace that want to do business with you. Now, your individuals are saying, you know what? I see her 2 to 3 top services she's offering. Or if you're a nonprofit, I see the 2 to 3 community engagement projects you have. I see how that's making an impact in the community. You know what? I need to be a sponsor. I want to be a sponsor because I see what you're doing. I see not only the visibility on social media, but I see the success stories in people's lives that have been changed because they've been a part of your nonprofit organization. That leads to streams of income. Sometimes we try to go for the check first, but there's no connection. There's no slight edge that has been established that sets you apart from the rest, which ultimately cuts us off and leads to no new streams of income. Now, above that, it says follow-up. Fortune, I was taught this is the same, we might have all heard it. Fortune is in the follow-up. I don't believe in just once you get a customer, client, and or sponsor, okay, good, we got the check, we got a new customer, we're good. No, build that ongoing relationship with that person, that entity, because now you're entering into their network. And once you've entered into their network, the follow-up, what do I mean by follow-up in this particular situation? Who can they connect you to? Who is in their network that, because they believe in what you do, is somebody else going to be in that network that's going to believe in what you do in your business model, your services, and or your nonprofit. So the follow-up that you need to have once you have secured a new customer, once you have secured a new sponsor, is to have ongoing follow-up. Now, you can do this in a couple of ways. You can send out monthly e-newsletters to let everybody know, hey, this is the success stories. These are the things that we accomplished. Get video testimonials. You cannot be the only person speaking well of your business. You need to have other people speaking well of your business. That is going to set you apart. Then engagement. The follow-up leads to what? Engagement. Engagement, not just only on social media, engagement of those that's directly connected to your mission, directly connected to your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Here's what I mean by that. Once you've established the slight edge for your business model and everyone clearly see what's different about your business, it leads to streams of income, new customers, new sponsors. Then you do the follow-up because now you're entering into that new network. Now from that follow-up, now it's new engagement because now you have new sponsors, new customers, and you're in a brand new network of people that you may not even know. Now, when you enter into that engagement phase, ultimately, you have greater visibility. Greater visibility in terms of who knows about your program and who is aware of your program. One of the things that's very important is that we must have consistent communication with everyone that we're talking to in our target audience. Now, when we talk about target audience, and I keep speaking nonprofit, for-profit, because I know it's a diverse group that is a part of it. Some have for-profit businesses, some have nonprofit. Whatever side of the spectrum you may be on, I want you to think about right now, this past, I would say this second quarter, let's take this second quarter as an example. What was your daily activities? What did that look like? Was it more busy work or productive work? What did your calendar look like? How many new people did you pitch your mission, your concept, your program to? And what type of communication was there? Was it consistent follow-up and follow-through? Did you go through all of these phases? The slight edge, new streams of income was born out of people knew you was different. Hey, I got to get with that business. I got to get with that organization. They're not like anybody else. I followed up. I was in a new network, engagement, and then I had greater visibility. I want you to think about this second quarter and think about where you fared. And then I want you to think about third quarter, July 1, on how you need to shift that. Discussion. When you have your group meeting with your team, I want you to talk to them about, let me go back to the previous slide. I want you to talk to them about slight edge, streams of income, follow-up, engagement, and visibility. So every time you see this discussion slide, I'm giving you key points on what to discuss with your team, what to discuss with your board members, what to discuss even if you don't have a team, but you're about to build a new team. What is setting us apart? And then with your team, are they buying into the mission? Are they buying into what you're trying to do? And can they also be consistent with the daily action steps that's set forth by your organization? This next slide. What is your message? What compelled you to start the business? Why is this even important? And you see, I put a picture here. Is somebody smiling, they're looking at their cell phone, they're probably reading something. They could be reading your mission statement. They could be they could be on your website at this point. Wow, this is what they do. This is why they started. I really understand why that founder started their organization, because they told their personal story. I don't just see it as just another nonprofit organization. I connect to the founder. I connect to the leader. I connect to the people that they're serving. A lot of times, if there's a disconnect and you don't have a body of people that's rallying around the project, a lot of times they don't understand why you even doing what you're doing. They don't understand the message. Sometimes the message isn't even clear. You know why? Because we have too many messages. You ever see a page or go to a page and it's just so much, it's just a lot on that page. We can't even really make out what the business model is. We're not really sure what the real mission is. We're not even sure who they're really serving. It's just, it's a lot going on. Sometimes, well, I've been to your page. I see you do a lot. Sometimes people may think that's a compliment, but not always. If somebody says, I see you do a lot, that oftentimes mean they're not really clear what you do. And so we have to declutter our message. In the very beginning of this presentation, it talked about detoxing. A part of the detox is detoxing what our message is. So when we do convey our message, people are very clear on where we're coming from. They're very clear. If you have a for-profit business, they're very clear on the services you offer. They know that if I come to your business, these are the services that you're going to offer. What compelled you to start your business? And then which competitors have the largest market share within your target market segment? Remember earlier we talked about marketplace, we talked about your target audience and the customer groupings. When it talks about market segments, that talks about the different individuals in your target audience that you're serving, right? So if we're saying we have an outreach program, that's wonderful, wonderful. I get a new client and say, oh, I'm going to do an outreach program. Okay, well, outreach, that's broad. So what specific outreach services are you offering? Okay, once we've identified that, what age group are we offering the services to? Okay, what area is your services going to be offered? Very detailed and specific. Because once you know that, and when you look at your competitors, okay, well, one of my competitors, they're not even focusing in this geographical region. It's virtually an untapped market. That is how businesses grow. When you find an untapped place, an untapped area that you can grow your business, that is where leverage comes in as well as that's where additional revenue comes in. Now, why am I often talking about revenue? Because at the end of the day, if our businesses are not making money, it is just a hobby. And not being funny, this is something we all have to look at. I have to look at it. We all do, because if we're saying we're building a business, but there's no consistent revenue coming in, we don't have a business model. We have a hobby. And so we all have to ask ourselves, this third quarter, July 1, do we have a business or do we have a hobby? Because based on whether it's a business or a hobby is going to dictate what we do these next 7 days. It's going to dictate, once this webinar is done, what we do these next 7 days. It's going to dictate what happens over the next 90 days after July 1 hits. The last question on here says, how will we be different? How will we combat competition? That goes back to the slight edge. It goes back to what is your message. It goes back to decluttering our mindset in terms of what our business model actually is. Discussion, the pitch. Now, when you're talking to your team, when you have your team meeting, everyone has to be on the same page. There was situations where I've, been in communication with other organizations or leaders, and they're like, well, when the team goes out, everybody's speaking a different language. Everybody's saying a different mission, and we're not even all on the same page. We're all pitching something different. A lot of times, if that is going on in the complexity of a business, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, did the founder, did the leader, did the CEO share what the single message was, and did people fully understand? Sometimes we could be talking and sharing, and people could be nodding their head, okay, but that don't mean they fully understand. We gotta, how like when people do call and response, I love call and response. Okay, I'm with my team, we're having a conversation, I'll share something or what have you, and right now everything's virtual. So what do y'all think about that? After you say whatever the message was, what do y'all think about that? When you have these team meetings, have it to be a call and response, not just one way where we're just dishing out all the information, but not even getting the thoughts from our team. It has to be a mutual dialogue. It has to be an exchange. That's the best way to say it. It must be an exchange, because when an exchange takes place and you share what the message is, the team is going to know how to pitch it. The team is going to know how to convey what the mission is. But if that is not currently happening right now, the message has not been clearly conveyed. Now let's take it a step further. Maybe it's not even just your core team. Let's say you want others that's going to be sharing your posts, others that's going to be talking about your business model. They're going to be, oh my God, I just saw what this organization is doing. They really taking things to the next level. I got to tell you about this program. You're going to have other people that's going to be pitching you because they've embraced the mission. But a lot of times, if there's not a single message, because things are all over the place, you'll get people sharing about your program, but not fully understanding the program. So one of the things that we have to do, even as leaders of our organization, we have to be clear on how we're pitching it. What are we saying to the general body community? What are we saying on our social media pages? Is something that we said one day contradictory to what we said the other day about our business? And we got to be very conscious of not, again, social media is an interesting place, and it's freedom of speech, say what you want. But here's what I do know: a personal page has its place, and a business page has its place. What I may put on my personal is going to be different when I'm putting on my business. Now, sometimes it can overlap. Yes, it can. But if something we put on our business page contradicts what our message is, people are going to get confused. They may not ever even come to you and say that they're confused, but they're confused. When you don't see at the end of a 30-day period, you didn't get no new customers, no new sponsors, no new volunteers, no new people coming on. They was confused. And we cannot be swayed by the likes. The likes doesn't mean anything if it didn't turn into actual productivity. We got to distinguish what is productive work and what is just busy work. And so that's one of the things with this next piece. It kind of further elaborates message to the target audience. What is your specific message to your target audience? When I put things out on my social media page, I have my target audience in mind. Whether it be a quote, whatever it is I post, is what I'm about to post, does it speak to my target audience? Will it resonate with them? Now, I'm not saying not be authentic. You got to be authentic in everything you do, because you want to get authentic clients and customers and sponsors as well. But I'm very conscious of what I post. I want to make sure I'm leading people to a particular place and a destination. It is a responsibility of a leader and a CEO of a business to lead a person to the next place, depending on what your business model might be. Me, I have a mantra that's called "Good morning to the leader in you." So when I put things out, I want to raise people's level of consciousness to awaken them to their leadership capacity. So anything I'm putting out, it gotta invoke something in a person. It gotta prompt something in a person. Like, wait a minute, I may have slacked off the past 2 days, but you know what? Today, a new day. I'm about to rise up and be that leader that I'm called to be. Whatever your mission is, whatever your message is, because we have our days, and I'm not gonna say I haven't had a day where things in life personally, even in my own family, things will grab you in such a way that will want to throw you off course. I raise my hand to that. I agree and I understand. But that's in those places where we got to push beyond that point, and we have to censor our message. I'll tell you something recently happened in my family with my brother that's autistic in one of his group homes that he's at, which was not good. And I wanted to honestly throw up on my social media page and say some things in relation to that group home, but I didn't do it. Because I had to think about, okay, I need to step back. I need to analyze the situation. How do I need to deal with this in a strategic way? I had to realize also, if I'm just putting all this stuff on my business page, these people ain't even got nothing to do with what's going on with my brother in the group home. Ain't got nothing to do with it. So we got to be conscious what we put out there, because what we put out there is what we're going to also receive back. It says, what does each of our identified target audiences know and believe about us today? Do they know you? And when I say know you, meaning not just, oh, she graduated from a college or university, she got this degree, that degree. Those are like, surface things. Those are great that we have our credentials, wonderful. Well, do they know what makes you tick? Do they know the heartbeat of your organization? Do they know the heartbeat of your business? Do they know what wakes you up in the morning, even though you tired as all get out, but you're still getting up early and you're still building your business? Do they know that side of you? Can they feel the passion even if they never met you through the phone? When we talk about building a business and building to our target audience, there has to be something that connects from you to them, that grabs them and say, this is the business I'm going to select. This is the business I'm going to go with. What is the single most important message that we must communicate to all of our target audiences? Again, audiences with an S, because we have different people in our business model that we're catering to. Like, for example, individuals that may have an outreach program. You may be working with the youth, the young adults, and the seniors. It may be 3 different categories of people you're working with. But to identify what message, because the message I'm going to give to a youth could be completely different message that I'm going to give to the senior citizens, because they're dealing with 2 different issues, 2 different things. The senior citizens might be dealing with issues. They can't afford their medication. So how do I speak to them? How do I connect services to them that they need? The youth, with what they're dealing with right now in our community, what is going to speak to them? What are they going to connect to? And what are your current clients saying about your services? Ultimately, testimonials. When someone is finished doing business with you, when someone has sponsored your project, when someone said, you know what, this was my experience, that is what's going to increase to true engagement with your business. Not just the likes, but true engagement. And we have to identify the difference. What does engagement really mean versus just sociable interaction? Sociable interaction, we can do it all day. That's a part of who we are. We just, and that serves its place. But once we've properly served someone, and I say serve, even if it's a for-profit business, we're serving people with whatever that service product that we're offering. What are they saying about your business? And don't miss the window of opportunity to get testimonials from your clients. Because at the end of the day, I was very conscious about this early on, particularly even when I started the Speak Life Tour, which is my nonprofit entity, to make sure I'm not the only person talking well about the business. I'm not the only person talking well about Speak Life, because I'm not the end all and in the be all. It has to be a more global perspective. And when you have that global perspective, people resonate with the mission. People connect with the mission. Discussion. When you're having your team meeting, I want you to talk to them about the message, but from this perspective of how can they draw and bring in more people to your team? How can they draw and bring in more volunteers? Talk about how do we cross state lines, if that is a desire of yours to build your business model beyond just the state that you're in. How do you build the business model? Now, if your desire is to build in multiple states, I want to talk about that. I want you to think about the tri-state area that you want to build in. For this example today, I'm going to use Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So let's say you really want to corner the market in the DMV area. I want you to think about each state as a separate entity, but then we're going to think about it from a global perspective. I want you to think about, in the Maryland side, what area in Maryland do you want to concentrate and build your business? In DC, what district or ward? Because DC is broken down into wards 1 through 8. So you think about what ward do you want to work in? Now, Virginia is a different animal, completely different animal. So you have to think about what area in Virginia. It's not broken down by wards. Virginia is a big state. So you got to think what area in Virginia. Now, as an example, Alexandria, Virginia is just over the bridge from DC. So maybe you don't want to go that deep into Virginia. Maybe you want to keep a close connection between DC and VA quarter just over the bridge. So when you're thinking about building beyond the state that you're in, you have to think about also the distance between each of those states in that tri-state area. Then what I want you to think about is who can you collaborate with? When I built the Speak Life Tour and I was thinking about building in multiple states, I identified 2 to 3 business owners in that said state I wanted to build in. I reached out to them, I called them, I emailed them, we video chat, and we talked about our shared messages. We talked about our shared mission. And then from there, we talked about a strategic plan on how we're going to collaborate together. Specifically, I'll talk about Nashville, Tennessee for a second. When I reached out to one of the leaders in Nashville, Tennessee, I connected with an entity called the National Ebony Pages. It's an entity that promotes Black businesses. I reached out to them, and then it was just like a web. They started introducing to me all these people in the Nashville area. Never personally met any of them, but we had shared messages, we had shared missions. And so now we're working on this co-op, this collaboration together. And so identify those states in a tri-state area that you want to focus on. Then identify 2 to 3 businesses that you want to have a collaboration with. And I know right now, because of COVID-19, having live events may be altered. That's okay. Put something virtual together. And here's a suggestion. If you do want to expand it to other states, start working on something to have some type of virtual event in the 4th quarter of this year before this year ends. Because that's going to open up and expand your reach. When you expand your reach, you expand your customer base, you expand your visibility, you expand your engagement, and ultimately the revenue will increase as well. Because now it's not just about the zip code that you're in, you've expanded it. What is the process for selling your services? We're about to go into a conversation on how do we sell our services. And I know sometimes people are like, oh, sell, I don't want to sell anybody. And at the end of the day, that's what we're really doing though. We're selling. And I know sometimes, you know, it can be like, well, I'm not a salesperson. I don't really consider myself a salesperson. You don't have to be. You really don't have to be. Once you get your message down and your message is clear, your message is going to move people to want to do business with you. List the key milestones in the process. What do I mean by that? When you're in the process of trying to market your services, your organization, your business model, there is an aspect where you have to talk about your services. You have to talk about your products. And I know right now it's like, you know, or should we really be doing it? Because COVID-19 is so much going on in our community. Should we even be trying to pitch our services, pitch our business? The answer is yes. Because at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to be funny, but those big businesses, have they stopped selling products or services? Nope. Soon as the word went out saying the malls could open or different places could open, who they shopping? People they shopping. So we don't need to stop marketing and promoting our businesses either, particularly when we're just starting up or grassroots or building our business model. We have to market our products and services, but we have to be very strategic on how we're doing that. Direct personal sale, direct online sale, and indirect through channels. Let's talk about each one of these. Direct personal sale, this is people that's in your warm market. This is people that's in your inner circle. This is people that you know and they know you. Therefore, the transaction in that personal space, a lot of times can be easier because they already know your quality, they know your message, they know that you're not just going to offer them anything with your business model, your services, or your product. Direct online, everyone right now needs to have some kind of way that you have an online tool that you generate money. So I want you to think about your business model that you have, whatever industry that might be that you're in, and think about, do I even have something in place to generate money online with my business model? I'm not talking about multi-level marketing or anything like that. I'm talking about your business. Have you created something online where if somebody were to go to your business, you may have a product that you can sell? Maybe you have an educational curriculum that you've packaged and they may purchase it from you and they can purchase it and download your product. Do you have a training course that you can even develop, that you can package and have it to be online? Maybe you have a tangible product that you can sell, right? Just for an example for today, maybe you may have a journal that you can create and people can purchase that online. You're missing out on sales if you don't have some type of online way to generate money. And then indirect through channels. What do I mean by that? This is talking about partnerships. The partners that you have, the partners that you connect with, the partners that you are affiliated with, sending you referrals. There's a client of mine that came on board, and I mean, she's just sending me referrals. I didn't even ask, but she's just sending me, I mean, she's up to like 6 referrals she sent to me. Now, with that being said, I want you to think about, do you have referral partners? Do you have people that's connected to your business entity and or model that is a referral channel that's helping you continue to build your funnel on a monthly basis? Now, what does that look like? You build a relationship with that person. You talk about what the working relationship will be, if they're going to be a referral channel for your business model, and or if you have a nonprofit, you're trying to lock in sponsorships, your business network. Here's a suggestion. If you're trying to lock in more sponsors, trying to identify more sponsors, have some type of networking group where you could have it monthly, you could have it quarterly, where you're bringing business owners together to learn about your mission, to learn about your project. You can do this. You can even create your own Zoom account, and either you can have it weekly, monthly, or quarterly. This is just a suggestion. And identify business owners that want to come a part of your virtual networking event. Now, everybody's networking, everyone's connecting, but you're still sharing about your mission. You're sharing about your program. Just like if before COVID-19, we would all physically meet for a networking event, you can then shift that and have a virtual one. Now, there are some places that have open, and you can have a small, intimate networking event, maybe with like 5 to 10 business professionals that you're bringing them together. Because I do believe nothing can really take the place of meeting with someone in person. But don't let that be an excuse if you can't do that. Do it virtually. So direct personal sale is people you know in your warm market, person to person. Direct online sale, meaning it's something where people can purchase something at a reasonable rate online with your business model. Indirect through channels, meaning you have referral partners of people that's referring clients to you. Discussion. When you talk with your team, I want you to talk with them. Let me go back to the next slide. Talk with them about direct personal sale, direct online, and indirect. Have a conversation with them. Even if you're a nonprofit, talk to your board members. How are we going to generate new sponsors this third quarter? How are we going to generate new online sales that people want to make a pledge? Here's an example for a nonprofit. When you talk to your team, you can have a monthly pledge. Let's say, as an example, $25, where someone can see your program, they make a pledge of $25. There could be something that they receive. Maybe it's a video from the young people that you're serving, or whoever you're serving with your nonprofit. Maybe it is some type of document that you're sending them in the mail saying, hey, you're officially a member of our organization. You made a pledge. Whatever the exchange will be, it has to be some type of an exchange. It doesn't have to be anything super expensive. Maybe they'll get a pen with the name of the organization, whatever that might be. You have to get creative out the box of what your audience of sponsors will want to receive, and send it to them. And then talk to your team about, okay, listen, we need more referral partners. We need more partners that's going to help us identify other customers for our business model, for profit or nonprofit. The next slide talks about and gets into how we are going to further develop our business as it relates to the pricing structure. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we cut ourselves or shoot ourselves in the foot because we are underpricing what our product or service really should be priced as. A lot of time, and the same thing when it comes to sponsorships, but you have to build the value. So what is your current pricing structure and product options? How are you pricing your service? How are you pricing your product? And which of your competitors is considered the price leader? In other words, are you outbidding someone else? Like, and I'm not saying, like, let's say they may be a competitor and they're charging one price for their product or service, and you want to be competitive, so you may reduce yours a little bit, but you don't reduce it to the point that you shoot yourself in the foot, right? So I want you to think about, what is your price point? What are you charging for your services? If you're a nonprofit, I want you to think about your sponsorship packet. A sponsorship packet is the document that you send out to business owners, and it have different levels in which they can write a check. It can start off at $500. It can go up to $1,000, $3,000. It can go up to $5,000 for that sponsorship packet. Now, in that sponsorship packet, this is specifically for nonprofits, it's going to have a breakdown of the benefits that they're going to get if they cut your check, your organization a check. Now, what do I mean by benefits? Let me give you an example. Let's say it's a business owner that want to be a sponsor at the 500 level. Typically, I call that the bronze level. They may get some social media cross marketing. If you have a podcast radio show, you can bring them on to interview them. They may be featured on your website. They may be featured in your monthly newsletter. In other words, by them cutting the check, there's an exchange taking place. They're getting more visibility because they supported your organization through a financial perspective. And now you're in exchange giving them visibility. You're bringing them into your network. What industry trends are going to drive prices down? Here's a good food for thought as it relates to for-profit businesses. You have your set price point for your business model, but because of everything that's going on in our community, is that going to shift things in your industry that's going to cause prices to go down? That's going to force you to have to reduce maybe even some of your prices in what you're offering. These are things that we have to think about. And remember earlier when we talked about the financial budget and the line items, these are things we have to forecast. What industry trends are going to drive prices up? Because if prices go down, things can shift in the next quarter and prices can do what? It can go up. As an example, when COVID hit, now just regular gloves or masks, it wasn't expensive, but I was seeing things on the news where it was price gouging. For even hand sanitizer, right? So we have to think about what's going on in the marketplace that can position us to still be competitive, but not raking anyone over with our price point, right? Same thing when it comes to the nonprofit side, when you're pitching for a particular sponsor to sponsor your organization, to underwrite it financially. So we have to look at, let me see, if I pitch this business, are they even in an industry that's thriving right now? Because if they're not, chances are we're going to get a no. They're not going to cut a check because they're not even thriving. Their industry isn't even thriving. So we need to research the industry even before we pitch a business to say, can you be a sponsor? So we have to do the research to know who we're talking to and what language we need to communicate with them with. Discussion. When you're talking to your team, I want you to talk to them about this slide. Price point along with your competition. If you're on the for-profit side, reevaluate your price point for your services and or product. If you're on the nonprofit side, talk to your board of directors. Listen, we know we need sponsors, but we know everything that's going on in our economy right now. How do we need to tweak our sponsorship packet? Now, some may say, well, I don't even have a sponsorship packet. No problem. One of the things that I would encourage you to do over the next 2 weeks is to design a sponsorship packet. If you need information on that, just shoot me an email, ct@katherinetrotter.com, and I can send you a sample of what a sponsorship packet looks like. Or you can reply back to one of the emails I sent you when I sent you information about today. Because if we go into the third quarter and you're a nonprofit and you're in position to receive funds or some type of contribution and you don't have a sponsorship packet, you're putting yourself behind because you have nothing to present to the potential business owner for them to even cut you a check. Now, with that being said, another common question is asked, do I need to have a business account in my nonprofit name if I'm still grassroots, I'm still startup? Yes, you do. You have to have it. If you don't have it, I'm not endorsing PNC Bank, but what I am saying is I know that they're nonprofit friendly. And you can do your own research in terms of what, bank you would want to do business with. Whatever it is, at the end of the day, you need to have an account set up. The next slide talks about business expansion in multiple states. I want to echo on what I mentioned about a few minutes ago about expanding. When we talk about business expansion in multiple states, we need to have a regional approach, a tri-state strategy. So I want you to think about right now, as I mentioned before, the states that you put in your mind when I brought it up initially. And now I want you to think about those states again. Now I want you to think about who do you know in those said states. Now, some may say, well, I want to expand in those states, but I really don't know anyone in those states. Here's what I would suggest. If you're not on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is where I do the bulk of my business, the bulk of my connections, the bulk of my collaboration. Get a LinkedIn page set up. It's specifically designed for business collaboration, business connection, business networking. If you're not on LinkedIn, you're leaving out like a huge opportunity for collaboration. The majority of my video Zoom calls with new business owners that I didn't know in the States and out of the States came from my LinkedIn connections. They want to do business. I mean, that's the only way I can say they want to do business. They want to meet new other entrepreneurs and business professionals and like-minded people. And they want to do business, not just only in talk, but in a tangible way. So I encourage you, if you don't have individuals or know people in those other states you want to expand to, get on LinkedIn, build an account, build some rapport, start having some Zoom meetups. You don't even have to use Zoom. There's another app that was introduced to me by my niece called Duo. I think you can put it on your Android. So there's so many apps out there. You can do a go-to meeting. Whatever app you decide to use, at the end of the day, is just about doing it. So over the next 7 days, the challenge I'm putting out there to everyone, if you desire to expand in multiple states, is to start having those conversations. Think about those 3 states and have at least nothing less than 2 conversations, 2 in each of those states. So that means you should have a total of 6 conversations this week. 2 people in every new state that you're going to be or desire to expand in, okay, over the next 7 days. Now, the discussion part, when you're talking to your current core team, you're letting them know, hey, look, we are working on an expansion project with our business model, with our nonprofit, with our for-profit. These are the 3 states we've identified, and this is what we're about to do over the next 7 days. Are you in? If so, I would love for you to be a part of this group dialogue that I'm about to have over the next 7 days with these new business people that I don't know, but I want to start building a rapport with, and let them know. And listen, they may know someone in those said states, or they may say, listen, I know and I have connections with someone in another state that maybe you don't even have on your list. We can build a market there. When you're talking about building a business, it's all about market share, market penetration. How visible are you in your industry, in your immediate geographical region, but then beyond your state that you reside in? The next thing talks about creating culture within your business, building and growing teams, business meetings. So let's talk about each one. Creating culture within your business. What type of culture, what type of team camaraderie is within your business model? And building and growing teams. Are your teams growing? Are they recruiting new people? The best way to really know if there's life in your business model is if are you getting new people? Are you getting new people that's on a buzz? Oh my gosh, so-and-so just told me about your business. Someone just told me about your mission of your nonprofit. I gotta be a part of this. Is there a buzz going on? And then once that buzz is created, you have to have ongoing business meetings. You don't have to call them business meetings. You can call them meetups, mixers, whatever you want to call it, but it has to be a time where everyone convenes together. Because what happens is you create culture within your business. You create a team environment where people know this is a living, breathing entity. This is not just a business. We are part of a movement. We are a part of something that's ever growing. When people know that, they're going to want to tell other people. They're going to tell other people about your services. The passion that you put into cultivating your business is ultimately the passion that you're going to feel back from your team, the people that you're working with. And again, if you don't have a team right now, don't be dismayed. You can start building a team. I truly believe these next 2 weeks, if we use some of these principles that are being taught today, you can build a new team and you can thrust into the 3rd quarter with individuals of like mind that have the same passion. You also share the same message to build your business model. Now, when you're having your team meeting, you want to talk about this. You want to talk about what culture you're developing, and you want to talk about the consistent meetings you're going to have. What do I mean by that? Because a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a part of it, I'm going to be a part of it. And then, I don't know, weeks go by and they went ghost, they went MIA. You don't know where they are. It was not established from the beginning that it was going to be regular business meetings. It was never established. They didn't even know that's something you wanted. I was talking to someone, they was very disgruntled. It was like, well, I talked to someone and I thought all these people was just going to be consistent with me. And I asked one question, did you follow up with them? Did you, as the leader of your program, follow? No, I didn't follow. I just thought they was going to connect back with me. We can't assume in building business. Sometimes I can even be redundant. And maybe it's some may consider it too much, but I believe in the follow up and the follow through, because people got busy lives. People got a lot going on. We cannot always assume someone's going to remember something, or someone may even connect back. They may want to, but genuinely, it's just so much on their plate they may forget. So if we want to drive home our mission and our message, we have to put the cards on the table up front. Hey, you want to be a part of this team? You want to be a part of this culture? This is what we're doing. We meet up once a month. This is the day we meet up. Oh, okay, really? That's what, oh, let me, yeah, you know what, put it in your phone right now. I'm gonna send out some reminders so everybody remember, and amp it up. It's not the thing, oh, we gotta have another meeting. No, amp it up that this is where we come together. This is where we mesh. This is where ideas are born. This is where creativity is birthed. It's all in how something is pitched where that will cultivate that environment where someone will want to be a part of it. I have some affirmations that I want to share, and then I'm going to be opening up for a dialogue and a Q&A. So some of the affirmations that I wrote, number 1, I am chosen for this battle. Sometimes we feel like when we're building a business, we're up against a battle, we're up against challenges, we're up against hurdles. 2, I will make an agreement with myself not to quit. Sometimes when we're in the midst of it, of building a business, and I can raise my hand, there has been times I wanted to quit on business. Absolutely, yes. But then there's always something that stirs me up again. There's always something that gets me motivated. And one of the things that motivate me the most, it was a client of mine that I was coaching for about 8 weeks. And she said, I fully feel clear now on what I need to do with my business. And that said to me, I am on the right track. I'm following in my purpose. I'm walking in my purpose. I want to make sure, I don't want to just be a business consultant. I don't want to just be dishing out information. I want a person, once they finish engaging with me, that they have clarity on how they need to execute with their business. The next one says, every morning, noon, and night, I see my dreams manifesting. Say it to yourself. Every morning, noon, and night, I see my dreams manifesting. And number 4 says, my season is about to change. Number 5 says, I see myself for the first time. Sometimes when we start out in our business model, we may, have, a lot of great expectations, but sometimes when those expectations don't manifest, it's like, man, I guess I'm not a good business owner. I guess I'm not a good founder of my program because it haven't even taken off. I might as well just close up shop. Sometimes we have to see ourselves for the first time all over again. Because even if something went south, even if it didn't manifest the way you thought it was going to manifest, that don't mean it got to stay that way. It can completely change. It can completely shift. But we have to see ourselves in our authentic space of who we are and what we've been called to do and what we've been called to execute on. Number 6 says, I am born to lead, knowing that it is innate. It is already in you to be a leader. Sometimes it just has to manifest itself. And sometimes we got to go through that personal development phase so we can grow and mature, right? There was a lot of areas in my life I had to grow, and I'm still growing. I have not arrived. I don't want to ever arrive, because when a person say they have arrived, that means they stop growing. When a person say, oh, I've arrived, really? No, there's always something else new to learn. 7 says, I am a gift. When we start looking at ourselves as a leader, as a CEO, as the founder of our business, we start looking at ourselves that I am a gift. And when someone gives a gift, oftentimes it's something of value, right? So basically what 7 says, I am valuable. I'm valuable to my business. I'm valuable to my community. I'm valuable to my family. So we have to shift how we think about ourselves if we're going to build a business model. 8 says, I am walking into new beginnings. We about to finish second quarter, 2 weeks left. July 1st is a new beginning. How will we walk into our new beginning will set the tone for that whole third quarter. Number 9, yes, I got 9 lives and I'm not done yet. We all know the whole thing about a cat. They said a cat had 9 lives. It's the same thing as an entrepreneur. I feel it's no different, because sometimes as an entrepreneur, we feel like we've been taken out. We have just gone through every emotion we can go through when we build in our business, but then we still bounce back and we say, you know what? I got another round I can go. Number 10, don't count me out. There may be people that have spoken into your space, or maybe you've spoken to your space, that I don't know if I can move forward. Do not count yourself out. Number 11 says, the final frontier, I see my dreams turning into a reality. A lot of this is visioning. A lot of times, even what I do with myself, I will vision what I want to see. And then ultimately, I start writing out my activity steps on what I need to do. And then I see it manifesting. Literally, at the top of the week, I always say, okay, this is what I want to see happen by the end of the week. I literally speak it out. I write it down also. And I believe those 2 things is why I'm seeing the manifestation in my business in terms of new referrals, new business, new partnerships. Yesterday, I was just on the line with a lot of new people that want to partner with what I'm doing with my virtual event that's coming up. And it's not because of me. I believe it's because of the intentionality in which the mission and the message has been put out there. And that is what people are connected to, not me. They're connected to the message. So once you get your message clear, the people are going to connect to it and you're going to build strong. 12 says, I see a shift happening in my life. I talked at the very beginning of this webinar talking about decluttering the mindset. The only way we can see a shift happening in our life is if our mindset is very clear in terms of the next step we need to go into July 1. My goal for anybody that's on any coaching platform with me, any webinar, is that for us to take the information, but then also to implement the information. What type of shift do we see taking place in our life? And if we cannot see a shift taking place, then we have to look at, is our mindset cluttered? Do we need to declutter? Do we need to detox from whatever those things might be? I'm coming down to the wine because I always want to leave at least 20 minutes. It's about 12:38 now for a Q&A and discussion. I want to thank everybody for participating in today. Again, for those that may not have my email is ct@katherinetrotter.com. I'm going to open it up in just a second for Q&A dialogue. But before I do that, I want to share with everyone. Everyone always know I want to give a call to action. A call to action, 7 days of coaching. Remember, starting on Monday, for everyone that registered for the webinar, I am going to be sending coaching, 7 days of coaching starting on Monday. You're going to get an exclusive YouTube private video. It's going to be 15 minutes for Monday all the way through Sunday. Every day you're going to get a new link with brand new topics to help, I guess you can say, order your day, if you will, suggestions on how you can build your business. You're also going to get the 7-day action step on how you can structure that. All that goes down on Monday. But what I want everyone to do today, when we conclude the webinar between today and tomorrow, is just chew on all this information and start working on some of those things you can do. And then Monday, you're going to get a fresh coaching link. On this, the 7 days of coaching call to action, I want you to do a strategy audit. I want you to think about this weekend. Is your strategy that you currently have in place, is it working? Is it not working? When you get my video on Monday, it's going to set the tone for the whole week. It's all going to be talking about strategy and productivity. What is the difference and what do we need to do this week? Customer retention. I want you to evaluate this week. What does your customer retention look like? You may have had someone to do business with you, but it kind of fell by the wayside. Or you had a sponsor and you know what, they went MIA. They didn't even sponsor us the next year. Why did they go silent on us? Why didn't they sponsor us again? Why did they not continue? We have to think about customer retention, even with sponsors, because a sponsor don't just have to be a one-time sponsor. They can be an annual sponsor, but if they go ghost, they go MIA, we got to say, well, why? Why didn't they come back? Why didn't they not sponsor us again? And then ultimately right here, building for 2021. In some of the earlier slides, it talked about what is your 7-month plan. Because if you look at your 7-month plan, that's going to thrust you into 2021. We must build for 2021. We must identify what tools do we need to implement, what things do we need to detox from so we can build and build strong. So at this time, I want to open it up. I'm going to just still leave the slide up to see if there's any questions, comments, concerns, any dialogue from anyone in the group. So we have about 20 minutes I wanted to leave for a group discussion and or questions.
It was a lot, I mean, to say the least.
And this is Mr. Hold on, let me expand it so I can see who everyone is here. That's Mr. Juan. Hey, Mr. Juan.
Yeah, this was a lot. I mean, it's getting clearer and clearer and clearer. There's plenty of actions for me to continue to define and refine. It's constant that I have something beneficial to be working on, to be pursuing on, to be moving my objective, my business forward. And I believe what you've done today is that you've made it a lot clearer to know what those things are. And I appreciate that. That has helped. That gives me this clarity that I think I needed.
Thank you. Thank you for participating today. Any other feedback, questions, comments, or if you would like to share anything about your business, we can use this time for you to kind of put out there from a networking standpoint what you're doing or what you're working on. You never know, someone on this platform may want to collaborate with you.
Miss Catherine,
Yes.
this is Adama,
Hey.
and I just want to thank you for taking time to share these great information. I think that the takeaway for me is just really the relationship that you have to build with your customers and the passion that they all have to connect. It's really not just something you do, it has to be a part of you. And I can definitely attest to that, to what I'm currently doing. Doing a lot, but my focus is really, in terms of nonprofit, has been centered around really raising this orphanage, Save the Young Girls Foundation orphanage, to the next level. So that's where all my energy has been going outside of my regular work. So I really want to thank you for including me in this, and I'm prepared to soak up as much in terms of just juggling. It's a lot when you are a parent and then you are running a business, or you're working and then trying to do something on the side. Sometimes just trying to breathe and just have that me time. And so I think I'll probably learn a lot and try to learn about how to really get that balance to be successful, because no one wants to start a business or organization and fail,
Right.
or it just kind of crumble. And that's my biggest thing. So I really want to just commend you for your leadership, and just really putting this together, because it really is needed. And I really want to say that one of the things I want to learn is about how to balance your nonprofit, but also try to see how you can raise money and have a business and a nonprofit. That's my biggest thing that I'm trying to really explore, and how, because all of my energy has been on the nonprofit, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be working 9 to 5 for someone when I have that in me to do something. So, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what the sell is for me. I just know that I know how to do passionate work, nonprofit work really well. But the business side of it, I think I need to learn and soak that up. So again, I thank you.
Thank you. And talk a little bit more about your orphanage, and also in terms of the sell part. With one of my coaching pieces that I'm going to send out this week, it's going to be talking about how to raise funds for nonprofits. So that'll be coming out this week also. But talk a little bit more about your orphanage.
Yes, so I am a descendant of Sierra Leone, so I've always been connected to stuff in Sierra Leone, and I was able to connect with this orphanage last year while I was unemployed, trying to discover my life and my purpose. It led me to female empowerment and trying to help the young girls in Sierra Leone. I felt that as a young African-American descendant, I could really have a voice for the girls, and I was able to connect on LinkedIn with this orphanage called Save the Young Girls Foundation Orphanage. They're not a big orphanage. They're not tied to Miriam. They're not tied to big funding. And so I said, you know what? I think I could be of use to be a voice for them and help bring resources. And so for the last almost a year now, I have been on LinkedIn, I have been on Facebook, I have been on Instagram, telling the stories of these 28 girls, telling the story and connecting their stories to the people, and trying to bring them funding, right now we are looking towards tailoring. There's a new thing, trying to teach them skills so they're learning how to sew. So I have all these ideas about how to maybe get somebody to help fund some sewing machines so that they can have a way to turn their pain. A lot of them are orphaned from the Ebola crisis, losing their parents from the Ebola, mudslide. Sierra Leone has been through a lot. And after these things, there's a lot of orphans that are left to be on the streets. And so these girls are a result of someone that was compassionate to pull them from the streets and bring them into the home. But she has had a lot of, it takes a lot to take a child that's not your own and try to raise them to be something great. And so I have become their mother in the States, let me say it like that, and advocating for them. Right now, we're about to prepare to teach the girls about protecting themselves from rape. That's a big thing in Sierra Leone. So we do a lot of videos. We have WhatsApp calls every Saturday. And right now I had a WhatsApp call with one of the girls. She's in the hospital with typhoid fever and worms. So I go through everything with them. And so right now I'm at the point now, you know what? I need a greater reach of supporters. And so we are actually in the process of building a 501c3 for them. So soon you will see on LinkedIn that they will be a now 501c3, and we're developing their website. And actually, the people are here to pick up barrels that we're sending over to Sierra Leone. To the girl. We they don't have a library in Sierra Leone, so we collected over 250 books. So they're sending them. Hi, how are you? Come on. They are here to pick them up to send them over to Sierra Leone. So anyway, I just want to. I will definitely be sharing with you everything when we have our website, which will be in the next maybe week. You'll see everything that we've done with the girls there, everything that I'm doing, and hopefully it'll tell my story as a young African American with Sierra Leone parents and how I've connected as a descendant to go and do something in my country.
Wow, powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, and look forward for those updates so we can support.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And so would anyone else like to share about what their organization is, or any Miss Tangelia?
It's Tangela.
Tangela. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much, Catherine. This was very informative. I think I have about 100 sticky notes all around me because, you know, that's just the way I learn. So I'm so excited about what God is doing in my life and even in your life to bring us together for you to do such great things for people who are working to empower themselves through their own businesses. And not only that, empower the people around them. That's my passion, is to help people to grow and understand that they are worth it. And that's my business. I am a mental health trainer, and my business is called Worth It. Because I'm still learning that I'm worth it, you know, and because of childhood trauma that often plagues a lot of us, sometimes we grow up not feeling worth it. And you sort of hit on that today. Sometimes we downplay what our services are and how much we're actually worth when we put out our prices and things like that. But I just want to encourage everyone to understand that you are worth it. Whatever you are doing, it's absolutely worth it. My why comes from, you know, a childhood of abuse, neglect, and those types of things. And as a teacher now, I'm also a teacher in the school system here in Maryland. And I often see children who are suffering from mental health illnesses. Teachers don't know how to help them. Their parents don't know how to help them. But I am on a mission to empower teachers and parents, especially African Americans, because we have a stigma related to mental health. And I just want to empower us to understand what mental health illness is, understand that we're worth getting the help that we need when we are suffering from a mental health illness. And I want us to also understand that it's okay to say that we're not okay.
Yeah.
So that's where my passion lies.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, feel free to share.
Hi, everyone. Catherine.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all I have to say. I really appreciate you putting up this platform. You gave me a lot of insight. It was very informative. I do want to speak to you afterwards over the phone.
Okay.
And I've connected with so many people throughout my journey with different aspects on how to run a nonprofit. But with you, I just say you're on fire. Like, I really see that your purpose is to help people, you know, individually. So I just wanted to say that to you. And Ms. Terrell, I just want to thank you. You are so correct on that. Because as a mother, I go through a lot of issues as far as PTSD, depression, but I'm functioning. So I do speak about those aspects in my nonprofit. I started my nonprofit in honor of my son that was murdered in 2017, the gun violence, and it's called HR Mass. And my mission statement is to be the voice of all lives lost and the families left behind. I'm out here helping other parents and siblings and fathers that go through what I go through daily. And I'm sending them to counseling services where I connect with people that are able to help them. So that's a part of my platform. And we do have youth on our team, and they start as little as 2 years old to college level. We're out here in the community trying to make a difference. I am a small nonprofit trying to grow, learning to make lasting impacts to help people that go through daily situations that I go through as well. And I'm an advocate for gun violence. I'm not against people, you know, having your guns, but there are certain aspects like domestic violence, people like suicide, children getting hold of guns. And my son was murdered by a coworker leaving work. So every day I'm out here grinding. So just check me out. I am in Virginia. I am trying to grow from state to state. I'm connected with Moms Demand Action, but culturally, they don't actually understand the aspects of the Black African-American community. So I want to be as, you know, as large as they are and be able to move from state to state. So my website is hrmass.org. So if, you know, check me out if anyone's interested in collaborating with me. We're looking for men volunteers as well. So thank you, Catherine.
And thank
I said a lot.
Yeah, no. It's good. We just speak life to you right now, since your desire is to expand into multiple states, that will be a reality. And you are that voice, and you'll continue to be that voice in the community. And so, you know, I just speak in advance, the expansion is going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have about 7 minutes. If anybody else that haven't shared would like to share.
Hi, Catherine. This is Latanya, Miss L. I'd just like to say thank you for this session. It's really informative. I've been taking a lot of notes that I can go back and share with Nat.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be going to look for trademarks and some other things this week coming up to try to set things in place, because I don't want to put a lot of stuff out there that we don't have under our belt yet. So,
You bring it. That's a good point, though, that you just brought up.
yeah, we have the ideas, but I want the legal stuff together first. So.
That's important. I appreciate you for being on. Yeah, no, I appreciate you for being on, and just a supporter. Me and the time we met, maybe 10 years. It's been a minute. It's been a minute when we first met. And
it was around this time 10 years ago, because 10 years ago I left T. Rowe Price to try to start my nonprofit. So
yes. And so thank you for staying connected, and we are staying connected to each other. And I think this is just a testament. You may meet someone at a certain point in your life, and then years later you reconnect. And I think that's the beautiful thing about community. So Miss L, thank you for supporting today.
Yeah, the Zoom needs a love button. I was like, where is it? You were talking some good stuff. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you, and more peace and love to you and everything you and Nat is doing.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Valencia or Miss Katina, would y'all like to share before we close out?
No, thank you, but we really enjoyed it and got a lot of information, stuff that we can use to make our organization better and profitable. Thank you.
Thank y'all for participating. They're in the Florida area, and they're going to be definitely touching a lot of lives as well. So thank you, you and your husband, for participating. And finally, Miss Valencia, Ms. Skeeters, did you want to share before we close out? You're still on mute.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you. I always enjoy and get a lot of information every time I get on with you. You're very knowledgeable, and I thank you for being a blessing to share what it is that you know with the group and with me in particular. My nonprofit, like you said, things are still moving. Things have been a little slow for me because of the COVID, but and information you provided, it really does not have to. There are other things that I can do to continue to move it forward. So I thank you for sharing and enlightening me with that information.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and share a little bit about what your program is.
I have a nonprofit organization that focuses on domestic violence. I have my 501c3, And with the state our country is currently in, you know, that has really escalated with individuals being, you know, in so close proximity and not able to move around. So that has really, domestic violence has really escalated.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it's so important that I continue with my nonprofit to move it forward. So when things are opening up, I can be available to individuals who would need my services.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And so this is concluding for today's webinar. I will send everyone the recorded video so that way you can always reference back to it with the information along with the slideshow. I'll send everybody also the PowerPoint presentation. And also, so like I said, starting on Monday, for the next Monday through next Sunday, you're gonna receive a YouTube link. And it's gonna be a 15-minute daily coaching strategy to help kind of kick off your day, should I say. And that starts on Monday. And then also on Monday, you're gonna receive the 7-day coaching strategy on how you can implement your week, okay? So this weekend, once we finish with this, I'm gonna immediately send everyone the PowerPoint because you may just wanna go back over the notes. So I'll send that along with the video. Now the video, because it was long, I may have to send it because of the size of it. You may get a separate link from, it's this device that I use when I'm sending videos when it's a large file. So just be on the lookout. It's called WeTransfer. That's the name of it. WeTransfer is what I use if I'm sending a large video file.
Hey, Catherine.
Yes.
This is Juan. Is there any way to be in contact with the rest of the group?
Yeah, it's a chat box. If anybody would like to share their contact, I know some people plug their website, but there is a chat box that people can drop their information down. So that way we can all continue to connect and collaborate. But absolutely, I encourage it.
Yeah, I mean, because I didn't get a chance to share a little bit about what I'm doing, but I sure would. I'd like to support a lot of the people that have. I think we might have some collaboration, some things of interest, and some things that we can do together.
Would you like to share any further about what you're doing?
Basically I'm a new author, just published the author of a book called Love Made Simple. It's going to be out in July, and it's going to facilitate humanity and unity. And it basically is what the nonprofit that's going to go along with it is going to be about life skills, talking about the things that we all have in common that makes forth and looks for success in us all.
Yes.
So it would be real good if I could, reach out with some of the participants.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I send my follow-up email, if everyone hit reply all, you can also do it that way. But also, I'm looking in the chat box. I do see several of the team members today drop their information in the chat box. So you can also look in the chat box and get that.
Where's the chat box? Okay, here, okay.
You see it? Yeah, and when you open it, you'll see people drop their emails, their Instagram, and all that.
I'll put mine in there.
Okay, and then also, like I said, what I'll do from my end, I will send, when I send the follow-up email with the PowerPoint, everyone emails will be there also. So if you would like to, anyone want to hit reply all to continue the conversation, you can do that as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your afternoon. Let's just implement. Let's implement, and we're going to see everybody at the top. Let me stop the video recording.